Heastvale respectfully presents.
Today I'm taking you to one of the most fascinating, surprising, and at the same time most instructive economic events in history. A flower. Yes, you heard that right. Just a flower managed to shake the entire European economy. And that flower was sent to Europe as a gift from Ottoman lands. Its name? The tulip. But this is not just the story of a flower. It's the first major example of how human psychology, greed, herd mentality, and financial markets can spiral out of control and eventually collapse. Even today, many things we see in stock markets, cryptocurrencies, or real estate trace their roots back to this very story. So if you're ready, we're heading back to 17th century Holland. In the 1600s, the Dutch Republic was living through its golden age. Trading fleets sailed across the world, and the port of Amsterdam had become the busiest commercial hub in Europe. Spices, silk, porcelain, furs, exotic goods, everything passed through the hands of Dutch merchants. And the world's first giant corporation, the VOC, the Dutch East India Company, was making the nation incredibly wealthy. Even an ordinary fisherman could get rich within a few years if he made the right trades. Homes were becoming luxurious, the arts were flourishing, and painters like Rembrandt and Vermeer thrived in this climate of prosperity. In short, the Netherlands had become the Silicon Valley of Europe. In such wealth, people started seeking new ways to show their status. Their clothes, houses, furniture, everything needed to be more extravagant. And just at that moment, a guest arrived from the Ottoman Empire, the tulip. The tulip's journey into Europe actually began by coincidence. It was already beloved in Ottoman lands and grown in palace gardens. At the time, the tulip symbolized beauty and elegance. It first reached Europe through Ottoman ambassadors in Vienna, who gifted these flowers to European nobles. Soon after, in the late 1500s, the famous botanist Carolus Clusius brought tulip bulbs from Istanbul to Leiden University and created Europe's first major tulip collection. His garden attracted so much attention that thieves would sneak in at night to steal the bulbs, because Europe had never seen a flower like this before. Its colors, its shape, its upright posture, especially those rare streaked varieties, were mesmerizing. Some painters even began adding tulips to their artwork. But the most important part was this: tulips were incredibly hard to grow in Europe. The soil, the climate, the cultivation techniques, none of it was quite right. And that difficulty automatically increased their value. The rarer something is, the more valuable it becomes, right? That's exactly what happened. In the streets of Amsterdam, people soon began whispering, "Did you hear? That merchant has a Semper Augustus in his garden. Only the wealthy can get their hands on that one." In no time, the tulip stopped being just a flower and became a symbol of power and wealth. It became a mark of nobility. Having a rare tulip variety in your home or garden was almost like wearing gold. At dinner parties, people would even place rare tulip bulbs on the table to impress their guests. Imagine that, not even the flower itself, just the bulb. And this hysteria didn't spread slowly, it spread at an unbelievable pace. Tulip prices quickly spiraled out of control. Even an ordinary tulip bulb cost as much as a month's salary for a low-income worker. But some varieties, especially the legendary Semper Augustus, became myths. A single bulb could sell for the price of a large house. Some records even mention payments equal to several years' worth of wages for just one bulb. If we compare that to today, imagine paying millions for a single tulip bulb. So why were people paying so much? Because everyone believed the same thing: these prices will rise forever. Tulip mania grew so wild that every segment of society got involved. Not just merchants, fishermen, tailors, apprentices, farmers, even household servants. People were selling their homes to buy tulips. Some sold their land or their livestock because everyone was saying, "Buy tulips, you'll get rich in 2 months." Coffee houses of the era turned into small stock markets. People weren't talking about coffee, they were discussing tulip prices. Some individuals even started trading the rights to bulbs that hadn't yet bloomed, or bulbs that didn't even physically exist at the moment. Everyone supposedly made money, no one lost, and more importantly, everyone believed this fantasy was real. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? This coin will skyrocket. Real estate never drops. Everyone's making money. Human greed hasn't changed at all throughout history. Tulip prices rose so fast that it became nearly impossible to find the flowers themselves. Growing them took time, so merchants devised a new system, selling tulips on paper for future delivery. Today we call this a futures contract, and the very first examples of it appeared during the tulip trade. There were no tulips in people's hands, but they were signing papers promising to buy tulips for a certain price months later, and the paper wealth kept growing. Some households even hung tulip price charts on their walls. People traded without seeing, smelling, or touching the flower, trusting only rumors, and this inflated the bubble even more. Then came the year 1637, the turning point. That year, the Netherlands had a harsh winter, and outbreaks of the plague kept many people from attending auctions. At one auction, no one raised the bid. Just a moment of hesitation, a brief silence. But in financial markets, even silence can trigger panic. Everyone rushed to sell at the same time, but there were no buyers. Prices crashed instantly. A tulip bulb worth the price of a house fell to the price of an onion. Contracts became worthless. The tulip, once a symbol of wealth, turned back into an ordinary garden plant. Thousands went bankrupt. Houses were sold for pennies. Farmlands changed hands overnight. Courts overflowed with commercial disputes. The government was even forced to introduce new regulations because no one could agree who owed what to whom. The Dutch economy was shaken to its core. And who profited from all of this? No one. In the end, everyone realized the truth. There was no real value behind any of it, only expectations. And once expectations collapsed, the bubble burst. Tulip mania remains one of the most famous events in economic history. Why? Because it teaches a crucial lesson. Nothing without real value can rise forever. When greed, rumors, and the illusion that everyone is making money come together, a bubble inevitably forms, and every bubble eventually bursts. Today, behind many events in the stock market, real estate, or cryptocurrency lies the same dynamic that drove people crazy over a flower 400 years ago. Technology may have changed, but human nature hasn't changed a bit.
Presented by East Vale.